Lesson 56 today is about equations with mixed numbers. Now the problems that we're going to have in our assignments look like this. Solve 2 1/3 m equal to 5. So in this we've got a mixed number multiplied by some variable that we don't know what it's equal to yet will give us an answer. Our answer could be a whole number, it could be a fraction, it could be an improper fraction, or a mixed number. What we want to do on these problems all the time for our first step is change our mixed number to an improper fraction. So in this problem, 2 1/3 must be the same as 7/3. Because 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Denominator of 3 stays the same. We're going to multiply this times m, and we're going to get 5 over 1. I'm going to change everything into an improper fraction here. Now if we want to get m by itself, we want to know what m is equal to in the end, so we can know what we multiplied 2 1/3 by to get to 5. We've got to get rid of this 7/3. Now remember, this is multiplication when a number touches a variable. So to undo multiplication of 7/3, we undo multiplication with the opposite of multiplication. Okay? We could divide, or we can multiply by the reciprocal. Let's multiply by the reciprocal. 3/7 times 7/3 is going to be equal to 1 because the 7's cancel and the 3's cancel. That just leaves us with our m by itself. That's what we want. We want to know what m is. What we do on one side of the equation here, we have to do on the other side. So we're going to multiply the other side by 3/7 as well. Now when we go through this operation, we're going to figure out what our answer is. So m is equal to 5 times 3, that's 15. 1 times 7, that's 7. We've got our answer. M must be equal to 15 over 7. Now, we could change this into a mixed number if we like. You don't have to, but you can. If you do, it's going to be equal to 2 1/7. And both of these ways are great ways to report your answer. So we could say either one. Let's say 15/7 for our final answer. Our textbook will report all of these answers in the back if you're checking your odds as improper fractions. But since we had a mixed number in the problem to begin with, it might make sense to report your answer as a mixed number. Both of them will get you full credit. Use whatever method makes more sense to you. Let's move on to our next slide. We have 3 1/2 times k is equal to 4 1/5. The problem says to solve. That means find what k is equal to. So that's our final goal. We want to know what k has to be equal to in order to make this equation true. Our first step, change all of our mixed numbers to improper fractions. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. We get 7/2 times k, what we want to know, is equal to 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 more is 21, so we get 21 over 5. Okay, we need to know what k is. If we want to know what k is, we need to undo the multiplication of 7/2. To undo multiplication, we could multiply by the reciprocal. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to multiply 7/2 times 2/7. Because the 2's cancel, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 1 times k is just equal to k. That's what we want to know. What we do on one side of the equation, we have to do on the other side of the equation. So we multiply this side by 2/7, so we're going to multiply this side by 2/7. We can go ahead and find our answer now. I'm going to rewrite. K is equal to 21/5 times 2/7. We can go ahead and simplify before we multiply because we know 7 goes into 21 3 times. So we're going to get a 1 and a 3. Much easier to multiply that way. 3 times 2 is going to give us 6. And 5 times 1 is going to give us 5. So we've got an answer of 6/5. Or we could say that's going to be 1 1/5. I'm going to report my answer this time as 1 1/5. Remember, both answers will get us full credit because they're both exactly the same spot on the number line. Use whichever one you prefer. And we're all done. We found out what k is equal to. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. Okay, next slide. We're working with lesson practice, page 181 in our next class. Make sure you got your notes completed, and have a nice afternoon.